Welcome to Spoofers, the podcast where we talk about random things.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have another great episode lined up for you guys. This guy who I like to call is Mr. Worldwide. I say that because that is what he is. Right now, I know he is somewhere, but he sure ain't sitting here next to me in the studio. His ponytail is something that is the envy of many men. I know that I'm jealous of it because I'm 20 years younger than him and I sure can't grow anything like that. I mean, that thing is just glorious. But I know I'm building this guy up, but he sure can back up anything that I can put out there. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to the big man himself, Mark Colaluca. Mark, thank you much for coming on to the show today.
I'm glad to be here, Michael. You've already overstated some things, but go ahead.
Nah, man, it is what it is. People need to know, and they need to know who the man behind the ponytail is.
Well, let me tell you about the ponytail and the earring, by the way. Don't
Oh yeah, the earring as well. Okay, yeah, let's continue. I'll hit record right here. Yeah, let's continue.
All right. So, anyways, yeah, when I turned 60, I decided I wanted an earring. I always wanted an earring, but then, of course, you all know COVID hit and couldn't go to the barber shop and stuff, and so I just let the hair grow. And my girlfriend, aka wife now, said, "I like your hair long," and so yeah, so now it's about 13, 14 inches down my back, but, it's interesting because when I go to China or Japan and they meet this executive that has a ponytail and an earring, they're kinda like, "Oh, okay," but it works.
Oh, you don't fit the corporate guy, like you don't the
No,
clean cut overweight guy. You don't fit that role.
not anymore, and, overweight, no, for
No, no,
sure,
not at all. No, not at all.
and no, and you know what? I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit.
That's
I
good.
got 40 plus years in the industry, and hey, judge me on my words, not my look.
There you go. Well, I want to say whenever I turned 30, that's whenever I first started getting tattoos. And well, you know how our family, it's a very traditional Italian family, and they tattoos is something people did.
You're right. I have tattoos as well because of my Iron Man and my journey of fitness and such. But you're absolutely right. I mean, it's just things like that.
So, how our family, it's a very traditional Italian family, and tattoos isn't something that people in our family did, or even really still do for the most part. So it's very different to see somebody in the corporate atmosphere with ponytail, some tattoos over his Ironman and marathon journeys, a fitness journey, and it's different. You break now. It's like we're both kind of broke out of the role, I guess you could say.
Well, I'd say we evolved, right? We evolved, right? I mean, because you're right. I got a tattoo, I got an earring, I got a ponytail. I'm also, you know, in my 60s, okay? Which is I've had a journey much longer than yours or others, etc. And so at some point you just say, you know what? I want to be me. I want to be me. I don't want to be what the mold is. As
Yes,
simple as
yes, falling out of the normal, but people think that what we should be. Yeah, be yourself.
exactly.
I do
Exactly.
want
Be
to.
yourself.
Yeah. So I want to say, about a year ago is whenever I decided I was wanting to do a podcast, and I made up a list of people who I was like, I absolutely wanted. I don't care how long the show lasted. These are the people that I want to have on the show. Is people that I find really interesting, and I just wanted you to know that I always had you up at the top of that list. And to do this episode now is just kind of like, wow, I'm actually really doing an episode with Mark. I just really want to say thank you for agreeing to do this.
No, I'm happy to do it, but I gotta ask the question. I'm gonna ask the question. You've done how many episodes now?
Oh, so at the time of doing this, I have done a total of 13 episodes,
13.
And I
So
think
I'm at the top of the list at 14.
no, I'm
Uh-huh.
saying
You feel so privileged.
so you well, first off, I'm doing this, and I'm like, first I was like, okay, the people that I originally wanted on is like, is this show even going to be good enough to even have someone to waste their time and drop internet connection to even do this, you know? So I had to get a little bit better, Mark, before I could just be like, hey, do you want to come to my hour-long shit show that I have no idea what's going on? I pick up our laptop. All right, so yeah, so I didn't really want you to go to my, you know, hour-long shit show. No idea what's going on, wasting everyone's dropped their internet connections. And, at least I have somewhat of an idea of, hey, this is how we keep a pod show going. So, you can almost feel privileged that hey, I almost have still no idea what I'm doing. I just feel like I can move a show along a little better now.
Okay. Cool.
But still, thanks a whole lot for doing this. I really do appreciate it.
I'm happy. I'm happy to do it.
So, Mr. Worldwide, you've had a chance to go out and see a lot of stuff throughout the world. You grew up in Jersey. Then you and the whole family moved to Japan, then to Dallas, then you moved to Singapore, and then now you're in Miami. And that's why whenever I describe you to everyone that I know, I call you Mr. Worldwide, because that's pretty neat in itself.
Yeah, but Michael, so first of all, you missed the 4 years in Omaha with the Air Force.
Oh,
Okay,
I did miss that. I sure did. I missed the Air Force. Yep.
that's okay. That's okay. It's not your job to keep up chaps with me. But the point is, yeah. So I've been to 104 different countries in the world. I've lived in three countries because don't forget we lived in Japan too, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
so I've lived literally multiple years in 3 countries, but yeah, it's been a great journey and a great episode. I guess you could call it that.
Yeah, that's some experiences. And, you know, you- like I was talking to you before, when you lived in Singapore, the only thing I've ever seen from Singapore is whenever I watch it on the Formula One street circuit that they have out there once a year. And that's the only thing I see from Singapore, but I see that it is a beautiful country.
It's a beautiful country, unless so Singapore specifically, right? I mean, you think about it, it's got, I don't know, 6 no, I hope nobody quotes me on the exact numbers, but 6 million people. It's a small country, but it is a great country, a safe country, an oceanside country with it's critical for Asia to America, Asia to Asia, um, trading and such, and it's a beautiful, but when I say safe, it is the most safest place in the world. It is the most, and some people say, "Oh, that's kinda like, oh, it must be rigid. You can't chew gum in Singapore." Yes, you can. You just can't spit it out. Don't spit it out on the street or you're gonna be in trouble, okay? I mean, it's Singapore is I loved it. I loved it. It was just incredible.
And so you're saying that it's safe. So you put it up that it's safer than living in Miami currently.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So, I love the Americas. The USA. I am a USA citizen. I love, but there's no crime in Singapore. There's white collar crime, people embezzling and this and that. There's no crime of just spree of the moment. Yeah, you hear about, oh, some guy got on a subway and he did something stupid, but that is so uh infrequent and such. It's just, yeah, it's very safe. You can go out no matter what day, what time, it's very safe. Where in Miami, I'm sorry, but just turn on the news. Somebody killed somebody, somebody shot, somebody did this. It's just, yeah, it's different.
Okay. I mean, that's you hear on whenever like you turn on news, you hear about Asia almost kind of being like the Wild West out in that area, but that's definitely not the case, I suppose.
No, well, no, there's other parts of Asia. Okay, now you didn't
Yeah.
ask me about
No, no,
Asia. You
I
asked
just
me
about
about
I think
Sing,
yeah, I
right?
think I mean like I see Singapore now. Oh gosh, I was just doing like some quick searching and stuff on about Singapore before we did this, and I just see that I, I guess you could call it like I guess you could call it white collared crime. Where lots of embezzlement and insider trading and whatnot. I did see a lot of that. So that'd be the crime compared to being like getting carjacked like you would back in the States.
Exactly. I mean, just on the news today, come on. We just saw another shooting in Minnesota Catholic school or something. You know what? It's just, that stuff doesn't happen. First of all, nobody has a gun in Singapore. Nobody. And I'm not, by the way, I'm licensed carrying handgun both in Florida and Texas. Okay. But my point is that, you just don't see that kind of stuff. But now again, we're talking about 6 million people versus 256 million in the US. One might argue 270, 290. Okay, I don't know the exact number. I mean, it is a difference, right? Singapore is as big as hell, it's not even as big as Dallas, okay, to be
No, you're
honest.
sure right. Yeah, it sure isn't right. So, like going to live in Singapore I would imagine that's totally different experience. Like you can go down the street, and from what I read, there's actually some really good street food that you can get in Singapore, as
Oh
well
my
as
gosh.
this. There's like even
Yeah.
actually these underwater hotels that I was even looking at. That was really neat looking.
They have the hawker center. They call them hawker center, right? And so imagine this in the US, I would describe to you that is a food truck court, okay? But there's many
Okay.
hawkers, right? Where they're more permanent buildings, but they're the same concept, right? Little shop, mom and pop cooking noodles, they're cooking duck, they're cooking chicken, they're cooking whatever, but it's incredible street food. Incredible. Oh my gosh. I mean, a matter of fact, I used to go to this one guy and I would buy a whole chicken from him so I could go home and make, you know, different chicken dishes, chicken salad, whatever. But yeah, the hawker centers are like the epitome of Singapore, right? Where it's just great food, very reasonably priced, uh, and they're all over the place. So that they call them hawker centers.
That's neat. That I was like, I know whenever the very few countries that I've had the privilege of going to, the first thing I ever do is I just always try and go there and find like the country's food or dish, kind of like what they're known for. Like you go to Mexico, you go to a taqueria and you get you some tacos. You go
Yeah,
to oh
exactly.
gosh, yeah.
And you go get the street taco. You go get the street, yeah, where the guy's making 'em right there, and
Oh
they're
yeah, you
just
don't
so
go to your resort and get your taco. No, you go to the guy that he's pouring his heart and soul into that dude. And that salsa is made by some very upset lady at home, and that dude is fire.
it's great food. It's great food.
Yes, it is. So,
Yeah. Now your
touch
Coleco might
briefly.
say differently the next day, but it's still great.
That's right. Your body might not agree with you, but your body tells you something that your mind's telling you. That's for sure. So we you hit it very brief at the beginning, but your Ironman competitions.
Alright.
How many
Mhm.
Ironmans have you done?
Well, I've done 1 Ironman, and I've
Okay.
done 4 half Ironmans, and then, of course, all the things that lead up to that, triathlons and so forth, right? And actually, I got a handshake with my friend, Jose Luis, who we're gonna do another Ironman in 2027 because I don't wanna be a one-hit wonder, okay? Um,
Okay.
but I'll be honest, my Ironman journey started from a poker game with my buddies, right, in Dallas. We were all just sitting around, you know how you play poker and stuff, and you get into general conversations, and one night, somebody told me, I don't know, we got into marathons or whatever, and he's, you can't run a marathon." I said, "What do you mean I can't run a marathon?" "You can't run a marathon. You've been smoking for 38 years. I mean, he." And so I said, "Oh, watch me." And so I did the marathon, and then I did the next, and then it was like, "Okay, what's next?" And I'll never forget one of my wives, okay, uh, we went and we were at this resort, and I said, what is this 140.6 on the back of this truck?" She said, "Oh, that's an Ironman." I said, "What's an Ironman?" Oh, you got to swim 2.2 miles. You got to run a marathon and you got to bike 112 miles. I said, oh, shit. Who would do that? And so, anyways, I set my mind on it and I did it. Within a year, I did it. Okay.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but it was more about the goal. The goal, right? Okay, now I have a goal and I'm committed to it. And I went and did it.
Yeah. That's so you're able to go from pretty much a poker game to Iron Man in 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah. You could say it that way. Okay. But Michael, it took a lot of work. But yeah,
Oh, absolutely, but, I talk to people that talk about, training like, there's a guy at this brewery that I go to, and he's talking about getting ready for Iron Man for 3 years, and you went from poker game to Iron Man in 1
literally
year.
12 months. Actually, it might have been 14 months if I'm most accurate. But yeah, I had to go buy a bike. I had to go back learning how to swim. Yeah.
Man,
But you
so
can do anything if you focus.
oh, and I do agree with that. I believe that if anybody, if they actually 100% put their mind to something, they can make something happen.
Yeah, I
And they
agree with you.
But, now, is there a lot of prep and could you cause a lot of heartache or whatever along the way? Oh, absolutely. But if you put your mind to get a goal accomplished and that's your number one goal, you can make it happen if you put your heart and soul into it.
Exactly. Exactly. And so you got to want to do it, period. End of story.
Yes. Man, so gosh, the prep to do something like, what is the prep to get ready to do an Ironman? I know Ironman is huge compared to doing a marathon, but like, how would you, like now, how you're about to say, okay, 27, we're going to do Ironman. How do you get prepared to do something like that?
So first of all, you start, right? You start. And whatever start means. Okay. You start running. Even if you haven't ran a mile, you start running a mile. Then you run 2, then you run 3. You get a bike. You start riding a bike. You ride 5 miles, you ride 10. I mean, you just build up to it, right? And of course, you get a coach, right, that tells you, "Oh, you're a piece of shit and you better step it up," and all these things, okay? But point is you gotta just start. You just gotta start. And so whether you goal yourself, "Oh, I'm gonna do it in a year, I'm gonna do it in a year and a half, I'm gonna" you just gotta start and you gotta start. You just gotta start, you know? You start with
Oh,
1 mile, 2 miles running, 3 miles running, whatever.
okay. So how many marathons have you done?
Michael, 30.
Wow.
I mean, I'm throwing out a guess, people. If your podcast readers are checking fake news or facts, they can all they gotta do is look it up, do it. Yeah, 30, 30, 30.
That's, I haven't even done a 5K, but that's impressive, Mark.
Well, and Chuck Norris has never done a marathon, according to the internet.
Copy that. Okay. So
But
we're gonna kind of look at here, like we're just gonna briefly at your corporate climb, I guess you can call it.
okay.
So
Mm,
you joined the Air Force and you went to Hewitt Packard, right?
I did join the Air Force, spent 4 years in the Air Force, and when I got out, yes, I joined HP.
And from what the stories that I was told is that you started at the entry level position you could say, and you have advanced to the position that you are at now. And I could be wrong. I know the last time you told me it was the VP general manager of, was it customer support or something like that?
Well, I'll fill you in because, you know. Anyways, yes, I joined HP in 1984 on the second ship in the warehouse pulling parts. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
And now today, I have been in the IT industry for over 41 years, and I'm senior vice president of what we call client management, which is basically taking care of all of our customers global. you know?
Okay.
But yeah, that's the short summary.
Okay. But okay, this because a lot of people that are listening, they're wherever they're at in their career. But what was it like climbing the corporate ladder? It always seems like everyone talks about, hey, you could start being a clerk at Quick Trip and you put your head down, you work your ass off, you're going to be vice president one day.
Yeah.
It's kind of,
So
what is it
yeah,
like that?
but I would take you back. Actually, I would take you back even more, right? So let's start with high school, and I was working for Kentucky Fried Chicken. Okay,
Okay.
and I was one of the people in the kitchen cooking chicken. But I
What?
became the youngest assistant general manager of a Kentucky Fried Chicken store. Okay, now why? Why? It wasn't because I cooked the chicken extra special. I just listened to the customers and I listened to this and I managed this or whatever, but that was that. Okay. So then I go in the Air Force. Okay. I do my 4 years. And why did I go to the Air Force? Because one, I graduated high school. I had no money to go to college. Okay. So I said, I'm going to the Air Force. I'm getting out of the house, which by the way, I love my family and everything, but I wanted to go out on my own. I did that. And, you know, I became non-commissioned officer of the year. I became this, and that. How did I do those things? Because I just freaking focused and listened and worked. But even in the Air Force, I had 3 jobs. 3 jobs. I had the Air Force, and then I took 2 more jobs because I didn't. I wasn't making no money in the Air Force, and I wanted more, and so I worked 3 jobs. Okay. And so then when it was time to leave the Air Force, they actually gave me an assignment to the Air Force Academy. They would do this, but I turned it down because why? I was in love with my I don't know which wife it was at the time, but I said no, thank you, and I left and I went to HP, right? And between all the acquisitions, whatever. I mean, you learn to navigate or whatever, but nothing was good enough for me, and so I just kept focusing. I never had aspirations, "Oh, one day I wanna be the SVP, one day I wanna be the C." I didn't have that. I just my aspiration was, "One day I wanna be this next level," or, "One day I wanna be this next level." Um, and so that's what kept me going. And so, yeah, and so then I look up 41 years later in the high-tech industry, I'm saying, "Oh, okay. I can't complain."
Yeah. No, absolutely. You can have your ponytail and everything, nobody can
Ex
say a
well
damn thing to you.
well, now, right? Because I've gotten to where I am, but you know what I'm saying, and don't trust me, I was a corporate citizen, white shirt, dark tie, black dark suit, I played those things, but they're not as relevant as, just take care of your client, whatever. I mean, I don't know how to say it, but yeah. But I wouldn't tell people, you can't come to work and you got earrings in your nose and you got this and this, and now you want to be an executive at some. I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest. Okay.
I
So you
understand
might
that.
you might have to remove some of those eyebrow piercings or whatever for a while, right?
No, at
But
least until the
at
world
my
catches up.
yeah, at my age, I don't give a fuck.
Okay. Now, do you think that if someone would try that today, that it would be harder than what it would be when you started in the 80s?
Actually, I think it would be easier, but let me be. You have to tailor to the situations, right? I mean, come on, let's just be clear. If you go to meet the most conservative customer in the world, you could adapt a part. Okay. Maybe you got to remove that ear. Maybe you got to tuck the ponytail under the collar. Okay. I'm not saying not be yourself, but you do have to adapt. Okay. Um, but is it harder? It depends on where you are and who you're dealing with. But when you start dealing with the rest of the world, come on. We've had to get used to people wearing turbans, right? We've had to get used to people having beard.
Me-
I mean,
I-
so it's and when I say we, the U.S., um, so I'm just saying we have to also be acceptable to other points of view. I don't know how else to say it.
Oh, okay. And another question I have, this will be the last one I have regarding any kind of corporate stuff, is how do you deal with the stress that you have in a higher job?
You know, that's an interesting question, right? Because stress is relevant to the individual. Let's be clear. Okay. Some people say, "Oh, I'm so stressed," and other people say, "Oh, my work-life balance is this. Oh, this." It's relevant to the individual. I go back to, are you doing what you love? Are you really passionate about what you're doing? Because your stress level will change. You can get through a whole lot of bullshit if you're doing what you love. But every job, I don't care if you're a janitor or building cleaning engineer versus top level executive, we all have stress, and it can come from the work. It can come from the life, it can come from the family, but all those things are intertwined. So, I can't answer you how do you deal with stress, Michael. I mean, because for me, yeah, I deal with thousands of people every day and thought, okay, ooh, he's an important. No, I'm not important. I put my pants on the same way you do still. Okay. Some of us sit down to put them on, some of us stand, but we still have to put our pants on. And so my point is that, stress is relevant to the individuals. And yeah, do I have a high stressful job? From my perspective, I do. From my other people would say, "Oh my God, you're so lucky. You're so blessed. You're so this." You know what? I didn't get here because of luck and blessings. I got here because of focus and passion and such. And and so I don't know how to answer your question, but other than I recognize every single person deals with stress. Michael? Yes, yes. Everybody deals with stress differently, right? And as long as you are in a role or a job that you are passionate about, you can balance that stuff. But as soon as you are in a situation where, let's say you hate your job, well, then the stress level just goes up exponentially.
Okay, I can definitely see that. I know at one of my previous employments, I did not enjoy what I did at all. And that's whenever I was incredibly big into weightlifting and people would come up to me and go, "Man, Michael, what do you do to get so big?" And I was like, these people that come in, referring to the person that just came in my office, like, when you people come in, y'all make me mad. I do one push up. And they just look at me and like, oh, okay, we're going to leave this guy alone.
One one push up.
I do, every time you make me upset, I do one push up.
I hope you can do 100 now. Because if you can't, I can, and I can show you.
You know what? I don't think I could do 100 push ups. I bet you I couldn't do 50.
Oh, come on, Michael. Come on. I've
I,
seen your gun. I've seen your arm.
maybe. We'll see. Maybe.
Okay. Michael, I can do 100 push-ups in one round.
Well, you also done the Iron Man.
Yeah, but
You know,
Ironman has to do with push-ups. Nothing to do with push-ups. Okay. And matter of fact, Ironman steals all your muscles. Okay.
I can only imagine because that's so much endurance.
But anyways.
All right. So starting at
Okay,
kind
but
of
hold on. I want to talk about you a little.
that's
Okay.
I'm all ears.
Okay. Because okay, you are my nephew, right? One of my favorite nephews. Okay.
Appreciate
But
it.
most importantly, you're the firstborn Colaluca into the family. Yeah.
Male,
No,
yes.
yes, male with the last name Colaluca. Okay.
Yes.
And, and in Italian history, oh, that's a big deal and so forth. Right. But it's interesting, right? Because I remember you being an altar boy. Okay, Michael, at the Catholic church, being an altar boy and, looking all holy and stuff. I didn't think so, but you were. Um,
Right. Yeah.
right. And then I think about, the
Yep.
times
Just
when,
she
as you were
at
growing up and such. Okay, so
okay.
then you got into
uh,
race carring.
s-
Okay.
uh, uh,
Then,
speak
you got
up,
into
uh,
bodybuilding and such. But
say,
what was funny is, all the Colalucas have a nickname. Most of us have a nickname. Okay. And we called you Bootsy. Okay. Are you Your
yeah.
dad called you Bootsy, okay?
Yes.
And you can explain to your viewers why Bootsy, because, remember, I'm BB and your dad is Bro and Victor is
So,
Pork and Andrew is
yeah.
Gasser and Nancy is
What?
Firing and, everybody had a nickname, yeah? But,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's just incredible, right? Because you
That's
started
that.
out, okay,
That.
and you started out at different jobs and so forth and so on. You got married and so forth. But I'm incredibly, incredibly proud of you. And now you're doing more stuff with the podcast and so forth. You're trying to break the mode, okay? And whether this podcast
Podcast
becomes
become.
Kelsey and Taylor Swift viewing audience, I don't think so. But point is that you know I applaud you for your efforts, but more importantly, your insight of just saying, "Hey, I want to just do something different and such." So I wanted to say that number one.
Well,
Okay.
Mark, thank you very much.
And then I also have to give a commentary to the naming of this lounge,
Spoofers,
aka
yeah.
Spoofer's Lounge, right? Because I don't know if you ever explained, because I'm still,
Uh,
I'm old
uh,
school. I haven't got a
so,
Spotify account, and so I haven't been able to listen to like the first one. But anyways, Spoofer. Or my father, your grandfather. I mean, Spoofer was like the original American picker. Okay. I mean, think about that.
yes. Yes.
I I went with him in Japan, across the countryside collecting clocks and da 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 da. That was Japan back in the late 60s, early mid 70s. Then when we got to Dallas, I went with him all over the place. I mean, he is the original American picker. Okay, if I can say it right. And then, but he taught us Spoofer. I'm saying it again, spoof. He taught us he could make money out of anything. So you remember, we would collect aluminum cans, we would collect brass, we would collect copper, and I'd have to sort it. Number one, number two copper. Number
That's
one,
right.
number two, right? Aluminum can. And of course, he would only put the cigarette butts in the cans, to try to make 'em
That's how I make
heavier.
them heavier. Yep. He sure would.
But, you know, but he knew how to do things. And so this is your heritage, right? Where you figure out, okay, how do I make something and so forth, right? But I just don't want to uh, lose the point of, you know, Spoofer's Lounge. Spoofer he was one of a kind. Okay.
Absolutely.
And and we called him Spoofer. He was our dad. Okay, my dad, your grandfather, but we called him Spoofer. Why? Because he yeah, you gotta always watch him because he was always trying to pull one on you. But more importantly, he always figured out a way to make the next thing happen. I'm remember, and I know you know this story, is like he went to some flea market. I don't remember where it was, Trader Joe's or whatever, and he bought all this car wax and car wash and shit. I mean, just tons of it. And then he brings it home and says, and we all look at, what are you going to do with that? Oh, we're going to set Mark up at the flea market and he's going to refill it. Oh, okay. But you know what? I sold every damn piece of that car wash or car wax over the next several months. And Andrew could tell you, or, but it was like, uh, don't worry, Mark can sell anything to anybody. I mean, but it was Spoofer and he's in all of our DNAs of just, you figure out, okay, how do you take that next step? I'll leave it with that. And I'm sorry I ran.
Oh no, it's great. And no, I haven't had actually anybody to ask me about it, but I was sitting in the pool, and
Oh, a pool, a
I
pool.
was yeah, I
You
was
have a
sitting at.
pool. You have
I
a
do have a
pool.
pool. I do.
Okay.
I have an above ground pool. Yes.
Oh, okay, above. people. Okay,
That's right. Yeah, we call it white trash fabulous where we're from here in Texas.
well, my pool is in the backyard of my the back seat of my pickup truck. But go ahead.
But I was sitting in there and I was like, man, I want to start this podcast. I couldn't think of a name because first it was, your son Nicholas. He was going to do this podcast with me, and he bailed and he said he couldn't do it, didn't have enough time, whatnot. So I was thinking, like, you know what, like Spoofer, he could tell you the most wildest stories too, like his dog Fido during the Great Depression. I know then you had down the hill, you had Johnny Mokus, the guy he put
Yeah.
up there in the treehouse, and
Huh?
so he would tell you, you'd have all these wild stories. I was like, you know what? It would be a good, remembrance to spoof, and plus it'd be, kind of carrying on his name of having some people come in and tell some wild stories.
I mean,
So,
Mike, he always told us, when I'm gone, the mold's going to be broke. Okay. And and you know what? Honestly, he was right about that. The good news is he created so many new molds, including you,
yes,
including the rest of us, right? So
yes. I will still say it kills me, like, whenever I'm doing a little bit of side work and say I'm working on a car or whatever, and there's this radiator that I'm about to throw away, I feel like I need to go take it over to the scrap pile in the back.
yes, down to the swamp. Down to the
Oh, oh, and speaking of the swamp, so, the house that you and Norman used to live in, I
Yes.
turned to my race shop now because it had a very big garage. And I'm going and I have my buddy Corey with me. He helps me out doing all the racing. And I was like, man, I need like a table or something. And I looked through there, it was wintertime, everything was kind of dead. And I could see where he had his shop back there. And I'm going, oh my God. And I walked back there and he had all of his old tables, the big solid steel tables. Shoot, we picked all that stuff up. We cleaned it up. We brought it inside the garage there.
Yeah, you never know what you're gonna find in the swamp. Let me just tell it that way. I called it you call it the swamp. It used to be my halfway home because I would go there in between marriages. Oh,
What was funny, like, we're back there, we're going through all this stuff, and I find all this old copper burn, the insulation everywhere, and I'm
yep.
going, oh, yeah, I was like, that's probably the place that he went and he lost when the fire department had to get called. And then
Oh,
I'm looking at this other thing, and I see this massive pile of old computer boards, and I'm going, what in the hell? And they're in this bathtub. And I'm like, what the hell would he be doing with I bet you there was 500 computer boards in this bathtub. And me and my buddy are looking at each other. We're like, what in the hell would somebody be doing with all these computer boards in the bathtub? I'm like, I don't know, man, but yeah, they had something
oh,
going on.
but long story short, right? I mean, so you think about the copper, you think about all but, back then, the computer boards had gold inlay on all the contacts, and so he figured out a way to wash the gold off of those components into a liquid, and ultimately, we sold as I told you, we sold gold, we sold copper, we sold aluminum, but yeah, he would get, I don't know, after 2 tons of circuit boards, he might get a troy ounce of gold, okay?
Okay.
But he was just very resourceful in those kinds of things, right? So, but he taught us all how to make money or, what, reclaim, I guess I would call it reclaim money from everyday shit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's funny that you said it though, cause about the computer boards. So we were looking at it, and this bathtub is just stacked full of computer boards, and we're like, what
Yeah,
in the
yeah. Yeah, and he bought some concoction, he'd pour them on there, and he'd wait, and it would ferment for, I don't know how many and ultimately, a little bit of liquid, and then we would go get it tested from the laboratories or whatever, how much gold content was in there.
wow. That is that sounds like spoof. That's him.
That was spoof. What are you talking about? It was him.
That's
Right.
spoof. Heck yeah, it is.
And
That
God
is
knows
funny.
if he was still alive today, God knows what he would be doing with data and, all this stuff in the internet world. He'd be figuring out a way to make money out of it.
I heard whenever I was younger, I work at the cabinet shop, and I remember he had stock for a while, and he would go in this one back room that he only knew he had to pull. I was young. I think I was probably seventh or eighth grade, and he had me pull up the website and has this stock on there, and I remember that it's just tanking like so bad, and he's crying about it all the time, and I was like, "Grandpa, why don't you just sell it?" He's like, "Nope, nope. Your uncle Victor told me to buy this. I got to write it out." And sure enough, every one day everything was like at straight zeros, and I'm like, "Grandpa, I was like, this is good." And he could just, I was like, "All
You
right,
know,
Michael, I got to go get a cigar."
Michael, you know what's interesting? He never was a good investment authority, right? I mean, I don't know if you remember the story, but he invested in cattle in Texas, and then the guy he invested with took all the cattle to Mexico, and he lost dollars. He was never good at that. What he was good at is figuring out today what's happening and how can I, generate money from it. I mean, he had to raise 7 kids, right? But he figured it out. He figured it out.
You know, another funny story that Spoof told me about you working at KFC is that he was telling me one day that you worked at KFC and you would bring chicken home. I guess the leftover chicken, you would bring it home,
Yes. Yes.
and he said that you went and you brought a big bucket of chicken home, and he's sitting there eating. He says he remembers that there was 2 roaches that ran out of your pant leg and went running down the hallway, and he says, "I had grandma go chase them roaches, but that chicken was too good. I was about to get up and go get them."
It's true. It's true. I'm I used to wear shoes and you could peel the oil off of the shoes, but yeah, every night when I got home at about 11:30 PM, he'd be waiting for the leftover chicken.
That is funny.
But yeah, those are memories, right? Memory.
Oh, yeah, maybe it's like your so-called halfway house that I use now. I had the Pac-Man arcade that, you and Norman got. I have it I went and I got it. I picked it up from Norman, and I changed it was halfway working, and I went, and I had someone come by, and he redid all the buttons and everything, and that thing works like brand new now.
That Pac-Man is incredible, right? It's just incredible, right?
Yeah,
That's an original Pac-Man.
yeah, it has the original paper like, when I took the back of it off, it had the original I think it was 1984, and it had, like, where and and who purchased it from the company then, so, I mean, it was never in a arcade or anything, it was purchased directly from whoever was
Yep.
making those Pac-Mans.
Yep. Yep.
And then, also in your halfway house, it had the people that never went, probably most of the listeners, but they had a massive bar inside this house.
Yes, we
And
did.
that bar is probably that bar has probably ever been, 18 feet long?
It was big, okay? I don't know, 18, 16, whatever, okay? But then, I turned it into Nicholas's, nursery.
Yes, that doesn't suit the family house anymore. Had to get rid of the bar.
Yeah. But don't forget, that halfway house also got hit by the tornado, what, in I don't know, 89 or whatever, when 218 houses in Lancaster got destroyed, and I had, like, 19 trees come through the the to the house. It
Holy
took nine
moly.
it took 19 dump trucks to remove all the debris from that hurricane, but we rebuilt and, we made it even better. Put a hot
Oh,
tub in.
I love that
We
house. That house is great.
uh,
It'll take a lot of elbow grease to get it going again, considering it's
yes,
what
it
I use it for, but it was I
yes,
always thought it was the neatest place.
it was, and I ran the electrical and the water. Don't drink the water, Michael. I tell you right now, don't drink the
Okay, understood.
I don't know where water is coming from anymore.
I know that there's some well pump that I saw, and I was like, "You know what? If this water's coming from the creek, I don't think I want this water, you know?
No, that well coming, it's too close to the septic now, so I wouldn't drink.
Okay. Okay. And I remember I had an electrical issue, and I went around to the side of the house. And this is something that you or Norman had to make up. I'm looking at this birdhouse electrical box on the side of the house, and the main breaker's tripped, and I'm looking at all this wiring, and it's just patched up like I've never seen before. And I'm going, man, I'm gonna burn this house down later. Luckily, I had a brave electrician friend that changed the main breaker out for me without, you know, cutting power from the city. But he's just like, he's like, I've never seen so much patching in my life, but if this house burns down, it ain't on me.
Look, Michael, that was probably 30 years ago when I was living there. And yeah, you either did you have to patch things, but I didn't say everything was the code. As a matter of fact, I don't even think the city knew the house existed for a
I think
period of time. But
I'm sure they didn't, because whenever I see all the old cable wires that are running down the street and all this other stuff, I'm going, man, these guys had to set up. They didn't pay for nothing.
but but I had an official mailbox built. Okay, so it,
Yes, you did.
and it's still there, yeah.
It's still out. Yeah, it's still there. Every time I pull into there with my trailer, I'm thinking I'm about to take this nice mailbox down that you know.
But
Oh, and then
yeah,
another funny story. So, we're working the other day, and we're out in front of the garage, and we see this white, PVC tubing that's going around the garage and around, and we follow it and went around the house and around the back end area. And me and my buddy are looking at it. We're like, man, what the hell is this? And we're looking at it, and it's tied into a water line where you guys, I guess, we used to have your Halloween party, and there would be water misters everywhere.
yes, of course. You
They're
know,
still there.
the the swamp, or AKA the halfway, that was known for the best Halloween parties ever. I mean, we had some of the best Halloween parties down there, with Norman, and God bless his soul. Um, but yeah, I remember you remember some of the Halloween parties with, you know, Ed and Ed and Lisa showing up as ketchup and mustard, Andrew showing up as, what was it, a survivor from the Delta 192 crash.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
won't say it was all politically correct, okay, but, it was we had some parties there, right?
It was a fun
And
time.
it was a very fun time. Yes, yes.
I will say, whenever you live there, that is the first time that you made me some. You probably don't remember this, but you made me salsa one day, and I was like, first off, my mind was blown that a male could be a chef, and then second that it was it probably still to this day is probably the best salsa I've ever had in my life. Just because, and so, I mean, you're a great chef. And man, what made you like go down this path of like, hey, because obviously there's no chefs in our family, our
There
close
aren't.
knit family. There was grandma, and she cooked, and that was that.
And that was grandma's food, right? But,
Oh
no, I
yes,
took I took 3 years of cooking, okay? 3 years of
okay.
cooking school, and never graduated cooking, but I took 3 years, and then I also continued with additional classes and so forth. But, no, I just, my passion, and maybe it's from my mom, your grandma, is I you know to me, there's nothing better than the family getting around the table and we eat. And you've come to my house many times in Dallas where we would just have wonderful dinners. And then, of course, grandma's house. And then, of course, Lisa's house, um, and such. But no, it makes me so happy. And so, yeah, but on that particular sauce, I think it was a chimichurri. Okay. But
Oh
on
yes,
one
that. Uh,
on one of my flights, Michael, I've done 6 million miles in the air. And oh, by the way, if you do the calculation, that's over 2.5 years just sitting in the cigar tube. Now, it's not talking about the airport time here or here. Just in this cigar tube, the AKA airplane, 2.5 years of my life have done nothing but sit in that cigar tube. And so you back in the 80s and the 90s, you read the magazines. Now it's online, okay, no problem. But I pulled out a recipe from American Airlines, um, for chimichurri, and I still use it today, and it's the best one. I can't tell you how many compliments I get on this chimichurri, which I know by heart now, but I've had to send the picture to, like, Nicholas and others who, "What's the recipe?" "Well, here it is. It's from American Airlines." But, yeah, it's it's fun. It's fun.
So I have that recipe that you wrote, handwritten down to me. That you gave it to me whenever I was in high school, and I want to say I did it one day to cook or something, and you gave it to me, and I now it has a spot on the refrigerator where it just hung up there by a magnet, from the kitchen of Mark C. And it has the chimichurri recipe. Well, your son Nicholas comes over one day, and he's like, "This is Mark's," They're like, "Yeah, it sure is." Like, "Man, let me tell you where you got this." And he just spilled the beans, and I was like, "There's no way."
I never just not disclose it. I just simply said, "It's my rep."
So, yeah,
And
it is your recipe. If they called for 1 cup, or 1 cup, you put one in the eighth cup, and now it's your recipe, right?
I modified, yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's still damn good.
Oh, it's so damn good. Oh, it's amazing. I will say though, like, but yeah, you are a great cook, and I want to say, just by having your food and knowing that you cook, that's probably kind of like what inspired me to say, "Hey, I want to do this." And honestly, I'm probably nowhere near the level of cook that you are, but I definitely enjoy throwing stuff on the
Yeah.
smoker. I love making spaghetti. I love, everything I can.
But Michael, you remember my outdoor kitchen in Dallas. I mean, it would rival some of the most pristine kitchens in wherever. But
Oh,
because
absolutely.
because it was the passion. It wasn't I was trying to show off. It was just the passion of, hey, I wanna when people come over, I want them to be happy and such, right? And so, yeah, but, everybody can do those kinds of things. It's just, you wanna do it, you wanna do it. You don't wanna do it, it's okay too.
That's right. And no, but no, that outdoor kitchen, no, that thing it was, it was beautiful. I'm doing my back kitchen and rebuilding all my backyard right now, and I'm going, man, this is this is not Mark's, but it'll work. Hey, we can make it work.
Oh,
I might have the water running through the rocks underneath me, but it'll be okay.
exactly, exactly, and you have to do what you have to do. I remember taking the kids on campouts for Y Guide or, Indian Princess, and I would still cook that weekend, and you'd have to improvise. I took a Weber, and I would you know, you had to do things, but it was the passion, it was the fun that was more important. Yeah, I had to compromise here or here to your point. Sometimes you don't have room. Hell, I can't even grill out in my condo in Miami because of regulations or whatever, and it just infuriates me. But I built a kitchen inside that I can do whatever I want. Um, but
Right.
my point. It's just nothing beats smoking and live fire grilling. Okay, just to be honest. Okay.
Oh yeah, like I'll say, I've had the chance of having your grilled lobster, and it is probably the best tasting food I've ever had. And so whenever I go somewhere, so we've been to the nice steakhouses in Dallas and Fort Worth and whatnot, and they're like, "Oh, we're all special. We're having this. We got grilled lobster." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll take that." And you get it, and you're just like, "Man, this is I make better grilled lobster, better grilled lobster than this, and so I get it, and I'm going through it, and I'm trying to change it up, and but I just want to say, like, hands down make that it yours is on the next. I don't know what you do. I've done almost every single thing I can, but from what I remember, yeah, I don't even come. I'm not even a close second place.
I don't know, but I appreciate you saying that. But at the end of the day, it's the ingredient. It's the ingredient more than anything, right? I
Sure.
mean, so fresh lobster is different from frozen lobster. You know that. I mean,
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And then the big ones, they taste a lot different than the small ones, and this
yeah,
then where you
yeah.
go, oh, absolutely, for sure.
And Dallas. You can get fresh lobster flown in from Maine or flown in from wherever that day and such, but it's a hefty price. It's ridiculous. Let's just
Oh,
be clear,
yes.
right? So then you buy the
Yes.
frozen, you have no idea where that frozen's been, right? So
And how long it's been frozen.
exactly.
Yeah. So, and then I'll say, you've been able to accomplish a lot of really neat things. And obviously, you have two awesome kids. I've had the chance to have Kendall on the show, and everyone seemed to love her. She's actually the second most popular episode that I've had so far.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, last time I checked on Spotify, she has had over 1,000 different people listen to her episode. So
Different
that
people.
was
So you're not counting how many times she's re-listened to it.
no, this is it. No, it's yeah, it's actually how many different people have clicked onto it. She's the second most popular one at it. It's like right under 1,000 people. Right. So yeah, she just clicks it and it's like, hey, listen, I'm important. I'm on a podcast, and it shows all of her friends. Yeah. And no, I'll say like, Nicholas, Kendall, they have to be some of the funniest people that I think I've ever met. And they came over not too long ago and we were cooking crawdads and oh my God, they were I don't think there's a single person that didn't think that they were just some of the funniest and some of the best people to be around.
Well, Michael, I mean, come on. I If I may, and thank you for saying that about my children, but you know
Uh-huh.
what? Every single one of my nieces and nephews are incredible in my mind. And you
Oh,
could
for
say,
sure.
"Oh, that's just uncle's love," or what, right? My point is the nieces and all of you guys are just great, right? And why are you great? Because you come from your moms and your dads, but then you come from grandma and grandpa and da da da. And but you guys are incredible. Each of you in your own way. Okay, yeah, some are a lawyer, some of them this, some of them are a cabinet maker, some of them are a project manager. It doesn't matter. It's just you guys are all incredible. You're just incredible.
Yeah,
And you
I mean, who
and
cares
you
what we do?
and
We're
you
just
stepped up. You stepped up from your parents, and that's most important, right? Meaning, okay, stepped up means you are going to be places that we didn't go. And I'm so happy and proud for. Okay. I can't tell you what Kendall's gonna do in 30 years. I can't tell you what Nicholas, I can't tell you what you are gonna do in 30, but I just know your path that you're on, it's all good.
I'll agree with that 100%. Yeah, I mean, who cares what you're doing professionally? It's how great of a person that I think this whole family
Right.
has really become.
And you remember grandma she gave it to every one of her children. As far as as far as everyone knows, we're a normal family. Okay.
That's right. That is right. She had that too. And we had it. Gosh, I had it hit up in the house for. We have it hanging somewhere in the house. I have to go find that. But yeah, that was hilarious.
And we all got our problems, but you know, you guys are all got the right background. Now go do it.
Yeah. I will say. So you gave us a bottle of wine, and you gave this to. Oh gosh, it was years ago, but it's from the vineyard in California, the castle, and you had the
Yep.
bottle that has has our name and everything on it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we opened that last year for Robin and I's anniversary. That was our 13th anniversary, lucky 13. I was like, you know what? We've never opened this wine. We're gonna go ahead and try it. So it probably was aged what, 10 years by then?
Well, it depends. You had the 2013 or you had the 2017?
It was the 13. I had to wait. Yeah, it was not 17. It
Okay.
was the
So
13.
it was my first barrel. Yeah.
Yes,
My
your first
first.
barrel.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, so we had it last year, cracked it, had it last year, and I wanna say that was have I'd never let something age that long before, but, oh, it was phenomenal.
They are phenomenal, right? And so I got 2017 and I got another one coming in 2023. 2020. It's coming, but yeah, they're incredible. And so I simply say is, please don't leave it on your kitchen counter. Put it in the fridge, okay? If you don't have a if you don't have a wine cellar, but yeah, I love my wine. And I have a collection, so it is what it is.
Yes, we slowly have been working on a collection as well. It's just because we probably started enjoying some wine. I would say probably 8 9 years ago, and is slowly evolved to some better tasting wines, and we're having to got like a little bit of a decent collection of some wine that are 20 plus years old, and it's almost like an art starting having older wines and start collecting this or collecting that.
It is, and it's an investment, and it's one of those things you don't know what you don't know, right? So you can have a $10 bottle of wine and say, this is not bad. Then you have a $100 bottle of wine, you say, wow, okay. But it's not the price as much as it is the country, the culture, the whatever. I mean, I collected wines all over the world. Matter of fact, created my own import company just to bring in wine. I had to
Oh,
do
did you
that.
really?
Yes, I did. I did
Okay.
because I bought 500 plus bottles. I'll just say 500 plus from Croatia. And in order to bring that, they said, no, 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 you can't bring this unless you're. So I had to create my own import company. But yeah, but wine is, um, you just gotta appreciate it. That's all I can say.
I'm just kind of thinking about what the hell are you gonna do with 500 bottles of Croatian wine? I guess you just put it away and
Michael,
drink it.
that's a quarter of my wine.
Okay, okay,
But
understood.
we don't have to talk about that, okay? Yeah. I mean, some people have a lake house, some people have a boat. I have wine,
Hey, that's totally fine. I mean, I am a sucker for some good wine. That is for sure.
and
We go
I
down
don't have
to
a boat, and I don't have a lake house. Okay, I have wine.
yeah. Hey, that's that. There ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, we go to. I mean, obviously, I ain't got no. We don't have a lake house here. Like but we also are only, gosh, 5 minutes from the lake. We take our the wife and I will take our Rob and I will take our motorcycles out and go cruise around the lake every now and then. But so I guess you can all say this is our lake house and good old Waxahachie. But we'll go down to Fredericksburg a couple times a year and
Yeah.
enjoy some. They've definitely stepped up a lot recently. They got some really good wines down there now. I don't know if it'd
Yes.
be
Yep. Yes, I
I
do.
I it might I don't know if it'll compare to the Castle or it'll compare to some of the really top end wines in Napa Valley, but they got Slate there and you got Grape Creek and there's some really good wines down there now.
Michael, there's good wine in Texas. I mean, there's
Oh
a
yeah.
Tempranillo out in Lalano that is outstanding. Okay. I mean, there's wine being produced all over the world, including the US. You got New York, you got Arizona, you got Texas, you got California, you got Oregon, you got Seattle. I mean, they're all, I mean, it's just different flavors, different environments, and so then that's when you start pairing it with the food, right? And such, and but yeah, s and they all don't have to cost hundreds of dollars. I mean, they don't, but, eh,
Yeah, what we'll do is
I'm a lot older than you, so I get to experience things differently. There's some great
absolutely.
Chi there's some great Chinese wines, by the way. Great Chinese wine.
I've never had a Chinese wine.
Yeah, and trust me, don't buy the Great Wall, okay? Don't go out and say, oh, here's a Chinese one from Costco. It's a Great Wall." No, no, stay away from that, okay? You want I'll tell
Okay.
you which Chinese ones to buy, but
Okay. Okay. Whenever we start, if I go find a department that has some Asian wine, I'm gonna send you a text and see what would be a good one to get.
please do. Okay.
Now, what we do, for fun, is we'll be cooking dinner at the house, and we'll say, okay, let's see if we can find we'll go to the HEB, the grocery store here in town, and
Yep.
which has a great wine selection, and we'll go, all right, let's see what is the best wine that we could find for under $20, and 'cause I mean on a Tuesday, I mean, you don't need to go drop tons of money on for no reason at all, So we're gonna find and it's so we'll get a bottle from Argentina or we'll get a bottle from Spain, France, whatever. And just because you get tired of having to do your conventional, Cabernet from California all the time. So you try
Yep.
and change it up and get whatever. And
Agreed.
and so we get it and you're like, man, there's actually some really good tasting wine that isn't gonna totally you don't have to spend $100 a bottle to have something that tastes good. Now, will a $100 bottle taste better than your $15 bottle from Australia? Well, yes, it will. But
Well, but Michael, I mean, to your point, Argentina, Chile, okay, great wines coming out of that region, very, very reasonable price. Same with us, South Africa. Same with Spain. Even Australia, okay, yeah, you could talk to me about, oh, no, 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 I want a penfold. No, no, no. There's still, and you don't have to spend a lot, but you just have to taste, right? And then you say, okay, I bought this wine from Argentina. It's a Malbec. It's from Mendoza. Okay, it was okay. Okay, so then try the next one. Or I bought this Cabernet from Chile. They all have distinctive flavors, and it just depends on what you're pairing it with. And so those are the things you gotta learn, but you don't have to spend outrageous money to get a great bottle of wine that goes with your dinner. I mean, you don't. But that takes time. That takes time or education or whatever, right? I mean, it's the same thing with every right? You experience. I don't know how to say it. Experience.
yes, oh no, I'll agree with you 100% on that. That is, you first off, you don't have to break the bank to go enjoy some great wine. The South America wines are really good and how everything and when we do so what we'll also do is we'll buy some wine and we won't tell each other where it's from. You always have to kind of guess where it's from because different wine from different places tastes different. So you get some from Texas, it's going to taste a lot more earthy. It's going to have hints of like mushroom or whatnot. Whereas you go to
Mhm.
you get your Italian wine, well, it's going to taste completely different compared to even a close by place like France or Spain. They all taste completely different.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's kind of fun, and, you
And
get some
so the
nicer
only
wines, you
thing I
keep
would
it.
say to you as a rule of thumb, whatever wine you're having, then have the cuisine of that region, right? So if you're gonna have an Argentina wine, then damn it, you need to have steak, okay?
Okay.
Argentina's like a chimichurri or a
Uh,
picanha,
Ox
right?
I
You have the
yeah,
ingredients that are local to that, right? If you're gonna have a Cabernet or something from New Zealand or Australia, then damn it, have lamb or some Wagyu beef, right? You know what I mean? So you're gonna have a Tuscany from Italy, have a pasta or a lamb. Okay. So you have to kind of think about how do I pair this with what the region is known for from a food perspective.
that's actually a good idea. I have not done that. I need to that'd be a good deal for us next week when we're playing around with some dinner ideas.
Yeah, because if you say, oh, well, red wine is for meats, white wine's for fish or chicken, Pinot is for turkey. I mean, okay, okay, those are the general. But come on, if you're gonna do those, like if I'm gonna have a New York wine, okay, a New York wine, and let's just say it's a sparkling wine, then damn it, I'm gonna have seafood
Okay.
from New York. Okay. But if I'm having a New Mexico, okay, and it's let's say it's a Mexico red, New Mexico. I'm not saying Mexico, New Mexico red. I'm probably gonna have a Pinot because it's gonna match well with the tacos or the Tex-Mex flavors or whatever, right? So you have to think about, okay, okay, I want this wine, okay, or I want this food. Now, how do I pair it with the wine? You gotta kind of look at it that way.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really, we could say a solid idea on that one. Yeah, I definitely that's definitely gonna be a next week. ordeal on that for sure.
Yeah, and then if you're gonna have a Chinese wine, okay, well, just call me and talk to me about the Chinese wine. But at the end of the day,
Okay, so I'll definitely give you a call on the Chinese wines. And Mark, I just want to say, you know, I've been wanting to kind of introduce the reason why the name Spoofer's Lounge even came up. So, and you're the first person to even ask me on how I even did the name. But hey, man, thank you for that.
well, did you tell people what the background is of the lounge?
I have not. No
I
one has asked. I've had the opportunity yet because no one's asked. And I will say it's so strange. So where I have my studio at here at the Railport Brewery is it's kind of becoming a hit. Like people are listening to the show, and I'm not you know me very well. I'm not used to being the center of attention by any means. And I walk in the door, and the owner of the brewery were like, "Oh man, here's Spoofer," and I'm like it it throws me for a loop. I'm like, "Oh, hey, hang on, I'm looking for a short Italian man smoking a cigar right here," you know? And that's who Spoofer was, and it kind of throws me for a loop for a second, but no,
yeah.
it was fun to tell the story on how of Spoofer and how it is now.
But did you tell the story? I mean, did you tell the story? Are we talking about the All American Lunchette? Are we talking about the bar, Massimino's bar? I mean,
Wait, I have not I told a little bit the story of Sharky's, of
Sharky,
when it
which is
yes.
okay, which is Spoofer's dad's bar.
Yes, Spooper's dad's bar. Yeah, I told the story of
Mhm.
Sharky's a little bit because if you look on my Facebook page, Shelby, or my cousin, made the mural of the picture that has, Spoofer's dad, and then it has the three of his patrons there, and it has me. Then I just went up there and I was holding a beer and took a picture of it. And I was like, man, that's a badass picture, And I tried looking up pictures of Sharkies or try to find any kind of information. I couldn't really find anything because in the
No,
40s,
you're not gonna
there ain't
find
nothing.
much, right? Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not gonna find much. But on the flip side is that remember Dominic, one of his sons, right, and Leonard, one of his sons, they opened up the All American Lunchette, which
Okay.
was right next to Sharky's bar. Okay. And it got raided by the FBI multiple times.
Oh,
Okay.
no kidding. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because they thought they were laundering money or doing illicit things and such. But that was called the All American Lunchette. And they named it the All American Lunchette to try to distract from Sharky's bar. Um, and so several of those guys in the background, they used to go to the American luncheon. Okay. Um, but
Okay.
that's another story. And then the last story I would tell you is, it was Dominic. And so Dominic, right, opened up the All American Lunchette. So it was Dominic and Leonard who opened up the All American Lunchette next to Sharky's bar because they didn't want any more problems with the FBI and Sharky's bar. But several of those people in the background used to come to the All American Lunchette. Okay. Now, where I was going with this was Dominic was the one who created the patent from Sharky's bar on the shuffleboard pucks. Remember the pucks?
Oh,
And
yeah,
so
yes.
Andrew has 5 of them. I have the 6th one of the original patent pending of they were all nickel, but covered in a rubber for the shuffleboard table, right? So shuffle.
Yes. Oh,
But
yes.
we have all of those, and it was Nicole Lucas who patented that.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it says Colaluca Brothers on it. Patent pending 19, I don't know, shit, I don't remember, 52, 51. I don't remember what year it was. But yeah,
That's cool. That is really cool. Man, I did. Hey, more lessons learned.
more history understood. Maybe that's another.
Yeah. Yeah, more history understood. Absolutely. But,
And by the way, your grandpa, Spoofer, he
uh-huh.
also had 3 other patents relating to technology, tape drive. and how to advance the tapes without having to take them over and take them off and move them. This is ancient stuff, but this was back in the 60s and the 70s where tapes were the storage. And so, but yeah, he has 3 patents to that too.
Wow, I did not know that. That is really neat. Here, I just kind of thought Spoofer was a little, now I'm looking at, was a short man that enjoyed a cigar and beers, and he knew how to scrap some metal.
You're right, but he had a career. And Mike, I have a watch from when he left Vietnam in the 60s, and it's an Elgin watch. Okay, I have it in my safe, and it says "To the best from the rest." Okay, um, and this was to your grandpa, right? My dad,
Yes,
and but yeah, there's a lot of history, especially advancement of technology that you just don't realize.
that is too neat. I will say another great story from Spoof was that, he was in Vietnam and he was in the hotel that was bombed.
Yep.
And the gentleman that opened up the True Value in Lancaster, Texas,
Yep.
he was with Spoofer when that hotel was bombed in Vietnam.
I'm trying to remember the guy's name right now. It
I
come to
I
me
can't
a little bit.
yeah, I can't remember his name, but they think about it, like,
Took my Prevagen today, but I just can't remember his name right off the
but but how do you use that? Like, someone completely on the other side of the world, you get bombed in Vietnam there, and just think of the dumb luck that is to come back to Lancaster and you open up a True Value in the same town that you were with the guy, you know?
like, I could give you so many examples of what is it, 6 degrees, 5 degrees, what is that Kevin Bacon saying or whatever. I mean, Mr. Green, who was the, news reporter in Japan, we all knew he best friends. It's like he just passed away, but he introduced Tiger Woods' dad to his mom, okay? So,
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
you start listening to some of these stories and you say, "Oh my god, how is this possible? How is this possible?" Right? We're talking about across the world, across the and but yeah, it's just incredible.
It makes the world seem a lot smaller than what even though the world is massive, but it almost seems a lot smaller when you start putting things, "Oh, this, that," and you're like, how the hell is this
Yeah,
possible, you know?
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Well, Mark, man, I just wanna say thank you very much once again for being on the show, and whenever you wanna come on again, man, I'll be looking forward to having you.
Alright, call me tomorrow. I'm just kidding, but I'm happy to do it, and I'm so proud of you. Um, so good
Awesome.
job.
Mark, well, thank you very much, man.
Alright, you take care, Michael.